All right, hello everybody. I'm Brian, and this is AAMI News and Conversation. We're here today at the second full day of AAMI Exchange in New Orleans, 2025. And I'm here today with one of our award winners, Elliot Sloan. He's our Humanitarian Award winner, and we're going to learn a little bit about the history that he's had here, and more importantly, the benefit of really being a humanitarian and doing that extra work outside of your day-to-day. But thank you so much for joining me today, Mr. Sloan, and let's dive into it. Who are you? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I live in Florida currently, in Sarasota, Florida, but I'm really still a Philly boy.
Okay.
Grew up in the Philadelphia area, wound up working most of my career in Philadelphia. I am still a professor at Villanova University, that is a suburban Philadelphia, now has a pope on a list of alumni, and I teach health informatics and cybersecurity and patient safety courses with Villanova. I started distance teaching then about 20 years ago, so it's very easy for me where I live in Florida to still continue teaching.
Well, that's great. I'm sure that even then the transition during COVID wasn't too hard either.
No, actually,
Yeah.
it was quite natural because I had been teaching online and also hybrid courses, which was a real struggle for a lot of professors who had not done that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, today we're talking to you because you just won the Robert Morris Humanitarian Award, and I've been told that you actually knew him very well personally.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about him. Why did we make an award for him, or to recognize him? Yeah.
Bob Morris was really one of a kind. He was a friend, he was a colleague, he was a mentor, and an icon for our field.
Yeah.
Bob was a physicist by training and originally worked in the nuclear field.
No kidding.
He joined Oregon Health Sciences and became an instructor with another icon, George Johnson. And Bob became one of the leading clinical engineers in our field. And the most amazing thing about him is really he was so humble. He was so generous with his time and so committed to the field. Here at AAMI, almost every year, Bob taught courses on maintaining and servicing lab equipment, and he didn't distinguish between technicians, engineers, newcomers to the field. He truly believed that everybody could learn how to service equipment if they understood the fundamental operations behind a blood gas analyzer, for example.
Sure.
And Bob did that around the world. Bob traveled to dozens of countries, low and middle income countries. And the last time I traveled with Bob was in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. And as I was in the hospital a day before Bob arrived, and as he entered the hospital, I heard waves of, "Bob Morris is here. Bob Morris is here. Bob Morris is here."
Celebrity.
It was absolutely a celebrity because he had actually helped save the life of one of the chief of police daughter who had cancer, and he was able to get treatment for her in the U.S. At that visit in Ulaanbaatar, I told Bob I would commit to coming back with him next year, and he told me, I won't be back.
Yeah.
And he told me he had cancer and that he and his wife had decided not to undergo any treatment so that he could still travel until
He wanted to
literally
keep
the
working.
very end.
Yeah.
Bob was a delight. He was the person who invited me to become the president of the American College of Clinical Engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And he really, a remarkable person. For all of his achievements, he was as humble as could be.
That's fantastic, and it's one of the reasons why we're so happy to have this award, because then it has inspired to. I've been blessed to meet people who have followed in Bob's footsteps and have done the same kind of work abroad, and bringing even just that HTM knowledge to areas where it's terribly needed.
It is.
And it needs to be adopted. I wanted to talk a little bit about that. You've done a lot of humanitarian work, so you know firsthand the benefit of traveling and seeing different environments that you might not encounter as an HTM professional just here in the States, seeing everything that's standardized and all that. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that? What's so great about it?
Well, first of all, it's humbling. It's humbling to go into a low-resource setting and see that they are doing lab analysis, what we would call classical methods, using fire to turn different materials into different colors, and then writing the results by hand and sending them by a courier to the intensive care operating room, using a microscope where we now have automated systems. When I was working with CareLift International, I was also an executive at a company called Medic, and we had hundreds of surplus ventilators of older vintages. And with CareLift International, we converted them to the requirements in a country like Moldova or Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, and talking with the physicians and learning that, well, they didn't really have oxygen to work with them, or the power was sometimes turned off for a day and a half.
Yeah.
And they didn't have anesthetics. Even though they had anesthesia machines, they still had to go back to chloroform or ether.
Oh, my God.
Very, very humbling. And I learned I really have to, and we have to, appreciate all that we have. And the ability to share that knowledge, to share the tools, the skills, is a privilege.
Yeah.
It absolutely is a privilege.
I wanted to talk a little bit about emergency response because it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but being in those kind of environments where you need to kind of adapt and take the knowledge that you already have and shift it to the new situation, that reminds me of emergency response in a big way. Even here in the U.S., if we have a disaster, suddenly the voltage that was available for certain machines is no longer there, or maybe your oxygen or your water supply is no good. So you did emergency response in a big way during COVID-19. You had a very cool newsletter called Hacking COVID. So what's going on there? Is that transition because of this work, did that help you during COVID?
Yes. It helped me serve the community. Early on during the pandemic, an agreement was reached with all of the publishers around the world to eliminate the paywalls for information related to COVID. As a professor at Villanova University, I was used to running into paywalls with, let's say, Lippincott or any of the other publishers.
Sure.
I had the opportunity, because I was at a university, to still have access. But I knew that our friends around the world, in Uganda, in Peru, wouldn't have and didn't have access. Also, if you look at the literature, there was an avalanche of literature that they described as a tsunami of literature related to COVID.
Yeah.
People who are saving lives don't have time to go through that literature.
Right. It's a big data problem, ultimately.
It's an incredibly big data problem. So what I committed to do was every day I went through the literature using many, many search tools to find articles related to health technology management. And we broke them into two pools. That which the clinical engineer and BMET could use directly for, let's say, oxygen concentrators or pulse oximeters, and those for the C-suite, health technology managers in the ministries of health. And I'd say probably every day I look through thousands of articles, and maybe out of those thousands, on an individual day, 3 to 6 were relevant to either the clinical expert, or the technology expert, or the health technology management expert. And we put together a daily newsletter that identified 3 to 4 key articles with a summary and a link so that they could see the original text.
Yeah.
So my job was what we call a librarian. My
love
job
that
was
term.
to curate the information,
Yeah.
and we had a team of volunteers from IFMBE and GCEA. Every morning we met and went through the articles and decided which ones were in fact the best and most relevant for the global community.
Yeah.
And then we sent it out to 22,000 individuals who signed up to receive this free newsletter.
Yeah. And you know what? I cannot stress how difficult this actually is. It sounds simple enough, but
It's insane.
it's
It was
insane. Data availability of stories. I'm the director of news at AAMI, and it takes a village. It surely does, to just sift through everything to make sure we're getting the right information to the right people.
And it never has the same keywords. You have to look for telemedicine. You have to look for telehealth. You have to look for laboratory tests. You have to look for sterilization and supply chain challenges. At ECRI, where I first worked, I had an entire first part of my career with oxygen therapy.
Yeah.
And during COVID, all of a sudden, oxygen therapy was important. So we were able to find the articles related to hyperbaric care for patients and oxygen management. And we ran out of oxygen around the world.
Yeah.
And then looking at the challenges of safely handling oxygen. It was thrilling, exhausting, and again, I did it because I felt it was important to help my colleagues around the world who wouldn't possibly have the time
Absolutely.
to go through the literature.
One of the takeaways we heard a lot during COVID-19, especially well after, we're at a conference now. It's 2025, and we still have people saying, "Here are the lessons learned from COVID-19," and that information, it was just flowing so much that they really needed the lessons learned right then and there.
Right then and there.
Yeah.
And it was also fascinating, and I still write about and discuss, telehealth and telemedicine emerged in almost every field.
Right.
Who would have thought of teledentistry or teledermatology or teleophthalmology? And our colleagues around the world invented this. And so by making this information available, if you are in Peru, you can learn about how Uganda has used ophthalmology or how Mass General Hospital has used it. It really, again, is the privilege of service. All I was doing was trying to support the community with this daily newsletter so they could access information that was relevant to their needs.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting too, because I talk to so many HTM folks who, they're so proud to be part of HTM because they know this is life-saving work. They're part of patient safety. But they'll hear stories like yours and they'll go, "Oh man, that sounds, I would love to do something like that, but I don't know how to get started." So do you have any words for them of how they can get involved, who they can contact to maybe travel the world and do some work?
Absolutely. The key word is volunteer. I have participated in AAMI committees standards for the education conference, for professional development. Volunteer your skills and time. You don't know, people don't realize that all of the other folks doing these things only became part of it by raising their hand and saying, "I'd be glad to contribute."
Sure.
On a local basis, there are many societies, many programs, whether it's the United Way or a local BMET or CE society. I volunteered. I volunteered to help maintain the membership lists. I volunteered to help edit a newsletter. I volunteered to sit at the table and hand out name tags during the monthly meetings. Well, by doing that, I learned the names of everybody, and they learned my names. You can't, those aren't paid positions. Those are professional development opportunities that people just don't realize. They don't know that it's a self-selected group that steps forward.
And they're always the most interesting people, probably because they've been feeding off each other knowledge-wise and insights. It's incredible. Thank you so much today for sharing your insights and joining me to talk about this. Elliot Sloan, you're the recipient of our 2025 Humanitarian Award. Please enjoy the rest of Exchange. This has been a fantastic talk.
Thank you so much. I'm just delighted to be here, and again, I'm humbled and honored to receive an award in Bob's name.